We've got a shocking reveal at the end. We finally found our boy Lucas, and what is going to happen with Sims and his wife? Find out if we care on a brand new episode of Unbinged starting now. Welcome to Unbinged, the podcast talking about all the shows and movies you love to binge. It's me, fumbling it, Jagger May. That's Matthew Koffhammer and Vig Dorswamy. We just watched Silo episode 4. I actually literally went from watching it to here. Vig watched a little earlier. Kopf, did you have time to like ruminate and gather thoughts? Or are you pretty fresh too?
Yeah, I watched it twice. I watched it last night and this morning.
But tell us why, Kopf. There's a story behind here. Why did he watch it twice? Because my man fell asleep watching the episode.
To be fair, Kopf does that shit a lot. It's like regardless if it's even good.
I watch it at like 11 o'clock at night, so it's sleepy time,
Daniel and Helen are the big thing, but are you excited to see Bernard again? Because we had Alfredo bring up an excellent point at when he was like, I think 2 weeks ago, about how Common isn't a great Sims replacement. Camille isn't a great Sims replacement. Or not Sims, excuse me, Bernard replacement.
Bernard.
And they're like doing the Moneyball thing of trying to recreate him in the algorithm. But they just brought him back and his face is fucked. How does that, does that do anything for you?
You go ahead, Kopf.
I'm still talking to him.
To be perfectly honest, no. Like, I don't care. Like, they show doing the fake out death thing. Okay, cool. It seems exciting, but what's the point of bringing this character back? He's been an antagonist to Juliet and to the Outsiders and to everybody in Mechanical. So now that he depends on them, he's going to be on their side. I don't see the point. What is the point of bringing him back?
Here's something and Vig, I'm about to kick it to you on here because you're like me. You're the initiated. We've read it. We did the work. We did the homework. I want to see Bernard for who he is in the book. Bernard is actually not a villain. I guess he's a villain in the sense that he was just following orders, but it was quite literally you have to follow orders or everyone dies. It's not like I'm going to follow orders and I die. It's everyone. I think we might be able to see what Bernard sees and Camille has yet to really learn or maybe not even care about, because honestly, I think Camille is borderline villainous now. They've set that up obviously, but I think we want to believe that Camille is inherently good. They're doing the villain thing where like, oh, well, they're a good person. They just did the wrong thing. Maybe with Bernard, we get to see that, hey, I had to do this because the people who build this place are fucked. Is that something that could bring you back?
If that's the route they go, possibly.
I think that is the route they have to go. I think they've like sort of boxed themselves into this tiny little corner here, right? They're like stuck in a corner now. They had to do that because if not, the discourse surrounding this most recent season has not been stellar for most folks, right? We were worried. Alfredo and I, when we just did the last episode discussion together, we're like, man, were we too negative? And then 99% of the comments are like, man, this show is losing us. It's getting a little boring. It's getting jarring. There's too much going on. They're opening up more questions than they are giving us answers. This is a way, I think, to tighten things a little bit. If they can do it without being too exposition heavy, and if they can really do a good job of showing and not just straight up telling, I think Bernard can finally play a role in helping us put together the greater pieces. Because ultimately, that's what we want, right? This show is for viewers of the show who haven't read the books, or even if you have. This is a mystery, and you are trying to understand what's happening. That's what Shift is about, the second book. That's what all this Daniel and Helen and all that's supposed to do is like get us some answers. Bernard is finally an option and a way for us to get those answers, and I think there's a fair amount to be revealed. But my worry is the pacing has been so off that I don't want like, okay, the reveal is Bernard and then we get none of the answers for the first like 35 minutes of next week's episode. Like that's not what I want. And my worry is that's the direction they're going to continue to take us in. I'm just really questioning a lot of the writers' decisions on like pacing and the payoff for what they're trying to show us. I'm very perplexed.
And to bounce off that and kick it back to you, Kopf, because like I could see you go to answer the same question. It's like, Vig, you're inherently right that we don't want exposition dumps, but they're giving it. But actually, all we want is exposition. At the same time, like I don't want you to explain why they're in this big ass apartment and Helen's face is on it. I don't like. Cool, man. Whatever. I did not need to know that. I would like to know, maybe, who put the fucking silo in the ground. That's kind of that's. I actually do need that exposition. So it's almost like you're a little. And here's where I'm at, guys. I'm not trying to be negative. For you guys out there, if you're locked in and you're happy, awesome. This is great. But it is very real, like Vic said in our comments, that a lot of people are losing this. I love this story and I want you to experience it. So I'm talking as someone who is showing you a YouTube video and I don't want you to tap the screen and see how much is left. Like that's where we're at right now. And I don't want that for people. So if we're going to get the silo exposition, like at that point, you're just going to like, you're over. You can't sit through this anymore. Like you're a toddler who like, fuck it. The previews were 20 minutes. Now you want me to watch through a movie, you know?
No, like you're right though. The pacing has been up and down throughout the season, and really they seem to be wasting time on things that don't really seem important to the story overall. So if they can readjust and really refocus on the things that are important to the story and the biggest questions we have, like you said, who the fuck built the silos and who's the voice behind what, these commands towards Camille and Bernard being like, do it or everybody dies. Like we're going to gas the silo. So it'd be really nice if they could get back to those questions and giving us those answers instead of, yeah, why does your ex have a portrait of you on his wall? And who cares? Like, I don't give a shit.
They're still talking about their date.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
the not date.
It seems their scenes seem both like unnecessary and over the top at the same time. Like they're piecemealing some important info in there. Like we get the reveal when they're talking to the cybersecurity guy from the Pentagon that the recording they heard, which instead of just letting us hear the recording, they have to then wait an entire episode and then tell us what was on the recording, which is that the planes seem to be not under the control of the pilots, which seems to be some sort of AI storyline, which if it is a rogue AI storyline, does that tie to the silo AI? And if so, that would be an interesting reveal if they give us that connective tissue. And I'm hoping that's what they do. And I'm hoping that they get back on that path. But it seems like they're taking a really, really long meandering path to get there.
Yeah. And it's like, I obviously love this story, even if this show got me into the books. Like I'm a fucking poser, guys. I didn't read the books first. Like I watched season 1 and then I had to go back to it. But that magic is gone for me. Like and it's not even just the books. We do this all the time. Like we talk about House of the Dragon and we know shit. Like believe it or not, guys, we're professionals. So like I understand how to separate myself from the writing and the show. The show, there's a lot there that is good, and they are constantly distracting you with things that don't matter. That is what's frustrating here. It's like, I do not care about Knox and Shirley at all. I do not care about them. I don't care about... Actually, Billing's wife is now more interesting. They did it, man. They did it. I actually care about his wife more than him. But that's because they have that little resistance on. I'm okay with that little band there. I don't care. And I keep bringing this up. And I keep saying Donald. That's a Freudian slip, guys. That's his name in the book. And they did that.
Charlotte
joke.
calls him Donald, too. I like that little.
I saw
though.
that. I was
she
like,
did.
for
She
me,
called
I was
him
like,
Donald.
Yeah, I did the whole Leo thing pointing at the screen. But his name's Daniel. Sorry. Daniel and Helen, like, we've watched TV so long that we understand that there's a will they or won't they. It feels so heavy-handed at this point where I'm Dennis
forced.
Reynolds. Yeah, where it's just like, this isn't will they or won't they. This is they won't. And I know I don't want them
And
to.
I don't care.
But I think, Jagger, I think you're getting to the heart of the matter, though, is that season 1 had very crisp and tight writing,
Focused.
and I think
Yes.
I think they were able to stick to that narrow focus writing where everything had a payoff. everything was done for a reason because they had a single setting. When you expand to multiple settings, I get it. That is much harder to do. Season 2 suffered a little bit. If you go to Series Graph, the website that shows all the rankings, like almost everything is in green in Season 1. Everything's an 8 or above. Season 2 struggles a little bit, but it still like ends on a high. It still has episodes that are like 7.5 and above. I just pulled it up before we started recording, and the first 3 episodes for the show are all 7.2, 7.2, and 7.0, which again is not bad, right? That's a good show. We're not saying this is terrible. I'm still invested. I'm going to watch it all the way through. I want to see how they do things. I think the sound is incredible. The score is great. The production stuff is great. Whoever's doing the Foley for this show, shout out. The sound like that they're doing and the way they're doing is really
that's nerdy,
good.
Vig. I love it.
Sorry, man, but it's great. I'm listening to this on headphones. I'm like, this is well done. But ultimately, you need good story, right? We've all seen how terrible writing can ruin a great show. Hashtag Game of Thrones. Do people still say hashtag? Sorry, I'm old, guys. I'm a boomer. Or
Now
Westworld.
it's fun
Like we've seen
to
that.
say it
That's what
because
I'm worried.
it's bad,
It is.
you know.
Yeah. So that's what worries me, though. I'm worried this is going into a original Game of Thrones or Westworld sort of direction. Even though we have
Westworld,
writing,
man,
we have
that's
great
the
writing.
This is Westworld.
Dude, that
This
hurts
is
so much, but we
absolutely-
have great writing. But this is what it's reminding me of. This is reminding me of Westworld. Season 1, my God, peak
One of the
television,
greatest ever. Go
right? And it just like
But then
nosedive a
by
little bit
season
after.
3, it's a tangle. They literally
Yeah.
write themselves into corners, and they're trying to be clever and innovative, and instead they're just writing over themselves, and it gets messy. And that's where, oops, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say it feels like they're trying to do writing tricks and tropes instead of just clean story, and it seems like they're relying too much on trying to be clever than it is on like let's just tell a crisp story instead of haha there's a reveal Bernard's actually not dead like we telegraphed 2 episodes ago. So that's where I'm at.
And we're gonna hammer more, and there's some good things to talk about. We're just talking about how we're on season 3. We're ready to get there.
We're not mad, we're disappointed.
Exactly. But if you're disappointed in us, let us know in the comments. More importantly, if you like us, let us know with a like and a subscribe. If you're over on Apple or wherever you get your podcast, reviews do a lot for us. So you can even comment on Spotify, anywhere on there. Like we're pretty good at answering most of your guys' suggestions, even when you're mean. We respond. So you guys keep being you. Keep telling us your opinion. What we got coming up. House of the Dragon. We've been having those Sunday nights sometimes. Definitely Monday mornings. It just depends on whoever's day job gets in the way. X-Men 97. We're going to be covering that season finale. And of course, if you guys are watching Silo, these release right after the episode is over. There's some other shows that we're kicking around. If you guys got any suggestions, again, we always read your comments. I think I've paid all the bills. I've done all the things here. I want to go to the murder mystery with Sheriff Billings and take it to one silo here, because I don't hate that they have multiple things, because it does get boring having one setting sometimes because it can feel like a play. But where they're going, I feel like we have too many characters. So like, what are we doing with Sheriff Billings at this point? You know, Vig, we'll start with you, man.
Well, looks like Kopf had something to say. Kopf, go ahead. I'll jump in right after you. Okay.
No, I want to know what the connection is between like the head of supply, the shadow of supply, the mines, and like what's going on with everything with like Camille and Juliet. Like, is there a connection? If so, like then this all becomes very relevant. And having Sheriff Billings actually actively looking into this gives me hope versus just having him fridged and sidelined while other things are going on. So I'm hoping this is not so much just giving him something to do, but this is going to lead to a deeper discovery that connects all of the different storylines.
I think they will, right? Ultimately, that's what's going to happen. If not, this is just like absolutely horrendous writing to have this thing that goes nowhere. And I don't think they're that bad. But there's a tie-in, right? We have the Mike Davidson scene. We have the interviewing Glenda scene. They made Orla Kent such an important sort of at least character for an episode to try to make us care a bit more about her, right? They made her like someone we really like, someone who stands up for herself, a little like whatever
George.
Bella Ramsey
She's
did.
New George.
Yeah, New George. She's New George, but a little bit like, what they did with like Bella Ramsey in Lord of the Rings when she was like, this little upstart little girl. That's what Orla Kent was giving me Bella Ramsey vibes. But then they killed her. So now she matters a little bit. It felt too sudden for me. But I do think this entire side quest that they keep showing us with the sheriff will tie back into the greater story, and probably vitamin D plus and supply, and maybe he's the one who discovers what vitamin D plus really is, and maybe that's what happens, and to make it make sense. So I do think there's a point there. They're just dragging a little bit, don't you think? I think my worry is we're going to look at the end of this season and say this could have been half a season. I think ultimately that's going to be my biggest criticism is there's a lot of fluff. Unless I'm mistaken and they are able to tie all this fluff in together. Like maybe it's relevant that her ex is on tour in South Sudan, but he's coming back in 4 days, or assignment in South Sudan, but he's coming back in like 4 days. They just like drop these random bits of information, and I'm not sure what the point is. But I do think the sheriff stuff, and like you said, Jagger, his wife being an outsider, I think is nice. I think that adds something. I do like they gave some answers. You know, we were doing a lot of criticism. I'm curious to hear what y'all think. I hate this trope in shows where like someone knows what's going on and they're in the room with someone else who doesn't know what's going on, and they just won't talk about it, and they'll drag it out for a whole season. I am glad that Lucas was like, dude, I'm sorry to burst your entire existence, but it's a lie. I don't care what you saw. The whole thing is a lie. It's video. It's a video in your helmet. And he's like, videos in helmets, huh? And like he's like non-believing, but I'm just glad he outright said it. Like I just hate when that sort of stuff gets dragged on forever.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because it really does feel like bad writing in the name of plot instead of writing realistic human things. You know, that this is what I would say, which is, hey man, if raiders are coming, here's all the information you need to go. Like, it feels like sometimes in a movie, it's like, oh, remember, I'm about to die, but I've always loved you, and we're actually friends. And, oh, there's one thing that I really need to absolutely fucking tell you. Please listen, come closer, and then, die. You know, that's what I feel like Lucas was going to do for a minute. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. And Kopf, when we were all together, like I wasn't here last week, but I had mentioned that and I'll say this again, that I don't care about the wives. It's just reversed for me. Like, I no longer care about Sims and his kid. I no longer care about Billings at all. I'm like, well, if the wives are going to be revolutionaries, well, fuck it. You know, like Sims, I'm just kind of like, I guess I understand Sims as a character. He's all about, and I relate. He wants the same. You know, he feels good keeping everything the same. He's been conditioned to keep everything the same and not want order. And that's what's so fucking annoying about him, because even Bernard had mentioned to him, like, you're just so incurious all the time. You know, like that's why I never made you a shadow, because you're kind of fucking dumb and incurious. That this dude knows that vitamin D plus is going to, what it does, how to use it, and his wife's just going to blatantly deploy it. I'd almost feel like it's unrealistic that he's not more upset for even chauvinistic reasons, you know?
See, I came away from this episode feeling like he's working against his wife, even though he is saying to her face, like, let's work together. Didn't he tell somebody or reveal to somebody that he had stabbed Bernard and he's the one that actually killed him? So it feels like he might actually be playing double agent and is still either working with Bernard or using Bernard in some form or function. So I think we might be underestimating Sims and his actual final, whatever his final plan is for this season, because it doesn't seem like it is what the surface level plan is. He seems very much like he's a rogue agent at the moment.
I think we do know his motivation. It was glossed over almost. Alfredo and I talked about it, but I think when he realizes that Jules, has no recollection of her father or feelings for him because of this memory suppressing drug, and he has this moment where he tells Camille, like, it just feels like a break from his character, but he goes, we need to like do things as a family. We need to create memories. Like, Jules couldn't even like have any feeling for her. I think his like role as a father is so important to him now, or it's come to light. It felt a little forced. It felt a little quick and almost glossed over. But I think that is now his driving force, his entire reason for existence now, I think. What's up?
So he's motivated by his own legacy, or the legacy of being...
Yeah, his own legacy, or just his relationship with his child. I think that is now what motivates him beyond everything else. And so when she's talking about dumping vitamin D plus on everyone, I agree with you. I think he's going to be her foil. because he does not want that to happen. And he talks about that. He's like, yeah, so basically what you're doing to Jules, you just want to do it to all of us. And she's like, yeah, I want to do it because that's the only way. What I do like, and I want to see if y'all thought this, at the end of the previous episode, I actually thought Camille wasn't going to go through with it. I thought that she was trying to perfect her, like, they hinted to how I can detect if you're lying based on the cortisol. But the algorithm overseer actually tells her, I picked you because you're really good at lying. And, that's why I picked you to do this. And maybe that's a bit of an affront, right? She's upset. She goes, thought I was picked because I like good in the face of danger and difficult decisions and I'd be a great leader. But you picked me because I'm a good liar. Well, screw you. I'm going to lie to you. But either they very clearly like orchestrated Jules's escape, which just sounds ridiculous because it seems way too bad. And there's no reason for them to have that conversation that Shirley's hearing. Or she really is just as villainous as we want her to be. And, which is what I think it is. I just think she truly is the primary sort of antagonist for now.
Mm-hmm.
So Jules' escape, right? Obviously, we have the nurse that I don't know her motivation at this point. She seems to have grown up in mechanical, so maybe she's being asked by Walker to help out. I don't know, but my head theory is that she's still loyal to Sims, and Sims is helping with Jules' escape and doesn't want it to be obvious that he's helping. So, like
that
he
could
mentioned,
be a good
like,
story if they do it right. I like that, Kopf.
right. So that's why I'm thinking maybe he is potentially still working with Bernard, and Bernard wants Jules to discover him. So he gets the nurse who's loyal to him to help free her, get her down to mechanical, get her to the void. So that's where I'm going with the story. Hopefully that's where the story is going itself, but who knows at this point.
Yeah, I have to agree on that. I'd almost feel better if she was just trying to lie to I guess this is the point now where this is good writing. This is good TV where I don't know anyone's motivations. I think I'm at a point now where I'm ready to get to the collapse of the silo. It's going to happen, right? Like it's happening now. It's
I mean, it got close to it last season, so
yeah.
we gotta get back to that, right?
That
Like
yeah.
another revolution.
Yeah, like I think we need to get post apocalyptic or post apocalyptic. That's where I'm just ready to go. So like I'm done with like who's lying to who. I'm like, all right, let's all put you in a horrible fucking situation, and then I want you to get tribal. That's where I'm ready to go. Because this is the difference between Silo and stuff like Fallout and Paradise isn't even close on this level, where Silo's all about order, obviously, about the Silo in there, where it is post-apocalyptic, but it's post-apocalyptic in the most organized fashion ever. And like we obviously could see already that any layer of or any facade that's going to be pulled from these people, it's just the same thing. It's human nature. They're going to devolve into nothing, and that's where the show needs to go, And then I feel like the Silo would be more interesting, and then we would be okay to have a lot more of that exposition between Helen and Daniel. Because again, I'm just ready to know what everyone's shocked about. Because it's like a TikTok video where they're like, "Here, I'm going to show you what happens when I do this thing that I mentioned 30 seconds ago."
Mm-hmm. Speaking of tribalism, we got a little bit of that with the scene where Knox is trying to be a distraction to the Raiders, and you have him being confronted by the Raider who is like, "So you're head of mechanical, right? You're the guy that started the rebellion," and then they beat the shit out of him. So we still have obviously some holdover and some bad feelings from that initial rebellion. I could see that absolutely coming into play and building into like a pressure pot situation where another rebellion pops off because now you have bad blood between Raiders and Mechanical. And if Mechanical pulls some stunt again where they try to turn the power off, or if the Raiders come down hard on them and crack down on them, we'd absolutely see some retaliation again. And that would be, like you said, that would be the more fascinating way to go with this, is to really see that devolve into that tribalism type of warfare.
Yeah, because I missed it when, again, like things were moving, uh, and the key thing that I feel like we skipped over is that it's everything is designed to blame mechanical, right? Like they and they never. It was kind of a thing, and then we moved on. It's like you said, we were so close to devolving into nothing, and then it shifted, and nothing happened. There was no change, and now we're back to basically a new status quo where we can use pulley system now. We'll use a pulley system, but it's still like the same, day-to-day silo shit. The judicial still running things. We got new Bernard. We even got old Bernard now.
Ironically, it was Jules coming back from the other silo that stopped the revolution. So, did it really stop it, or did it just press pause and cause it for like a little bit of a reset of the board?
When is she gonna get her memories back? I guess she's starting to now, but like,
Yeah, I think they're gonna give it to us soon. I think next episode she gets more and more. She already like the little flashback. Oh,
she's
George.
remembering Shirley and
yeah.
Exactly.
And her talking about, I can't remember, but I remember the feeling. Like I think it'll come back. They've played this on for too long. I will say, I think this is good use of memory loss. This is not memory loss as a trope, because the whole show is about controlling memory for societal control, right? Well, it's about a lot of things, but that is such a big theme. And I'm not spoiling anything for non-book readers, but that's what the book really goes into too. There's a lot of themes here, but that's a big one. The other theme I really like that you all have brought up a little bit is the sort of the psychology of conflict between the individual and the collective that we really go into, right? Like to maintain order, individualism is a threat. And they've talked about that since episode 1, right? Like Rashida, or 2, Rashida Jones. They like don't actually take her birth control out because she can't breed more of her people who have individualism or think about it. Jules is like, I think the icon here of individualism, because she's trying to really uncover all of this and do, what she needs to, even if it's not better for the collective. And you have Camille, who is the representative of the collective. And so there's a lot of good themes, and I do think they do a good job. I don't want people who are listening to think we're just like crapping on this show left and right. I think we're crapping on some of the writing and pacing and decisions, but I still think there's a lot
there's a lot of good here. Yeah.
A lot of good that they are honoring the themes of the book, and they're staying true to the book, which I often complain about. Is I don't mind changes. You can change a lot of things from the book. In fact, I want that. If I wanted to see a scene by scene remake, that'd be fine. But like, I think it's okay to be more creative. Just don't lose us. Don't lose the themes. Don't lose the plot, literally and figuratively, and get us there. And so I think they are giving us some threads of things heading in that direction. But man, the memory, like you said, we got to get either her memory back or some other way for this to just answer some questions, man. I can't keep having more open questions. I feel like less and less questions have been answered.
Because the thing, like, I want to hit on that. Hugh Howey wrote a really good character that's like, I won't say a chosen one, but it's very chosen one tropes that have led to a really fast-paced story that isn't very much like a typical fantasy story where it's just like, on the 10th day, the third son born on the third planet, blah, blah, blah. No, she wasn't supposed to be born. That's something that's also hit on. Like, they don't want certain people to make babies. That's why there's a lottery in there where like for me, they wouldn't want me. They'd like snip, come get that vasectomy, brother. You asked too many questions. Kopf, you getting snipped, dog. Vig, you getting snipped.
Oh, I'd be volunteering though. Like that's
well, okay. Well, the doctor's like, he's out of line, but he's right. It's like because he's so individualistic, he's not gonna have kids. Like Kopf, you're like so liberal with that idea that you're like you're doing what they want you to do.
In a full 360.
Exactly. But Jules wasn't supposed to be born. Like, and her being born, her mom, you get Jules, and her being the focus, she's the grain of sand in the machine of the silo that starts to devolve. And Bernard, you think he brings that up in the book. Again, I'm reading the book at the same time, so I'm really confused sometimes with this reread and this, where he's like, you are a problem. Your existence is a problem. Like, because you were never supposed to be born. And her just being born set us on the path of where we are today. Exactly. It's the total butterfly effect. So her getting her memory back is crucial, because that's when the revolutionary starts. Because even when she comes back, she's going to start making changes. She's like, hey, shut the fuck up. Nobody going outside. Everyone shut the fuck up. What we can't do is there's more silos. Hey, now, so.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for when she gets reunited with Lucas Kyle and the Outsiders, right? Because then she'll be able to tell them the truth of what is going on outside. And Patrick Kennedy can finally shut the fuck up about, like, let's all go outside because it's safe. So it's got to be the next episode. If it's 2 more episodes, that feels like it might be a pacing issue too.
Yeah,
but
and it might be
because
they got to give us the outside too. Right? If the next episode is purely focused on the silo, I don't think anyone would complain, and I think it would be good for the show. But they've made this decision. It looks like they're just sticking to it. We're gonna have
they're splitting
half
time.
Silo, half Helen and Daniel, and now their super friend who's gonna like get them some information about unencrypted comms.
Which hopefully we get the reveal of, like, because we're getting close to the penultimate, if not the finale of the season. So hopefully we get some sort of reveal of what's going on the outside, like the hopefully an answer of like who's building, because they have to be building the silos already. Like there's no way they haven't started building them yet, right?
No, but is there 10 episodes per season? So we're not even halfway through, my man. We got a lot. This is episode 4. We got 6 more. There's a lot.
So
for them to do.
Okay, I hope
Maybe there's.
I actually feel a lot
8.
better,
I
dude.
thought
That
was
actually
8
does.
episodes.
That does a lot for me. That is a lot for me. That it's 10 episodes. So.
Yeah, I think
That
it is.
does
The first
change
2 were
things.
10, so I think this is 10. So there's time. But we have to see, man, and that's why I think that That's why I think they're splitting like both timelines, because they got to fill out their 10 episode order. But
because remember, there's 2 timelines and 2 silos. I almost said 2 sidelines. There's 2 silos and 2 timelines. So there's like a whole other thing going on in silo 17. I think that's where Solo
with Solo.
was Solo in it. Like that's
Solo and the kids.
It's actually a huge fucking thing, at least in like. So I'm like curious
The
to what's
books, at
going
least,
on.
so.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Like Solo's a huge to some of these other characters like Shirley and Knox getting screen time. That all could be Solo stuff, because like he's like, in my opinion, he's like the second best like important character in the books. Maybe like Shift is so weird I can't describe it without spoiling anything. So
yeah.
I am interested though in Bernard coming back for sure and what he has to say. Lucas Kyle again. I don't know what his purpose is. He's another one where like I'm unsure of like what do we have the Stranger Things problem where they just can't kill anybody? Like I almost preferred it when he was just dead. So
I mean, it definitely gets messy when you have this many characters and you have this many plot lines going on at once. So I could see them starting to do some trimming to tighten things up.
I think that's the problem, though. I think that shows have not really figured out a great job of ending someone's story within an art story without killing them off. There are good ways to do it, certainly, but just think about it. Like, everyone has to die for there to be just a few characters left that we care about. But you can give us characters to care about. You don't have to kill them off. You can just sort of like write it in a different way that they're no longer that relevant to the story. Many shows have figured out how to do this. But Jack brought it up. Stranger Things struggled with that. And right now, that is a good criticism of Silo, I think, is have you gotten so big that it's just getting messy? Like, there should be ways to tie
There's
off
just too
loose
many
ends that don't involve
characters,
death.
man. There's
Yeah,
too many
you don't have to kill
characters.
them.
They can do the daytime soap opera thing and just put them in a coma.
Or just
Well,
fucking
I
kill
don't want
them.
that trope
Be a
either,
man,
just, man.
guys.
I don't want that.
This is a universe where you could kill characters. If this was Scrubs, no, you don't need to give everyone cancer randomly or they die in a car wreck off screen. Like, you would say so-and-so got a new job. That makes sense. But for here, Lucas dying makes 100% sense. Bernard did die. Like, it makes sense that he would die. It's like Game of Thrones, I guess Arya flying or riding off into the sunset, quite literally, is the only example we have of someone being written off. Everyone else was just kind of dead, and I never once complained, like, well, I wish someone would just retired in the Highlands, they just go back to the garden and die slowly. That's just like, doesn't really happen. So I'm okay with that. Kill your characters, man. Kill your characters. Anything to talk about before we head out?
Nah, I feel like this episode did a lot of treading of water, and I'm hoping the next episode presses the gas pedal a little bit.
Yeah, it's exactly how Alfredo and I finished the last one. Was like, we need pedal to the metal for this show a little bit. I know you got 10 episodes maybe, but man, we need to tidy things up, get some answers, move along, maybe kill some characters or end their stories in a nice way, wrap them in a bow.
Maybe blow up another stairwell. That was kind of cool. Do that again.
Yo,
I mean, they only got the one,
this
bro.
criticism. Can we talk about this? No, they don't, Jagger, and that's the point. When you can climb, why are there not more secret stairwells between? Well, I've been thinking about this since like season 1, and obviously they show it, but like when Nurse takes her down through medical, she just opens this thing like, here we go. We can just go down through this. Or in the last episode, when the Raider leader goes into the room and she like finds that there's a hole. They haven't even addressed that, right? They found tunnels. The leader of the Raiders, or maybe it was Emerson. I can't exactly remember. Maybe it was someone else. Opens a sink or something. I'm forgetting the details for a lot of stuff. Behind the tiles, she's like, "Oh, there's all these tunnels, and we're done. We are never addressing that ever again. We're not bringing it up. We're not going to tell Camille or anything else. We're not going to like show us a scene of them going like sending a search party down the tunnels." So a lot of plot holes, literally and figuratively here, but
self-made.
Yeah, man.
You just didn't even have to
self-made.
do that.
Yeah, we didn't have
to do that. Yeah.
Didn't have to do it. You could just they escaped somehow. Don't have to tell us how. We assume they have tunnel. Don't show us the tunnel, man. So, but seriously, someone give me an answer to this. Why are there not more stairs in between levels, like homemade stairs that people have done? And if there aren't many, because the algorithm knows. Yeah, man. People violating the pact left and right,
it's
though.
A stupid
people,
book.
The algorithm will kill. It's literally like you got to do this. Yeah. It's the whole plot. That's the whole plot.
But the problem is
that's the whole plot of this: the collective versus individual.
Yeah.
But the problem is the head of IT doesn't tell anybody why they can't do the things. It's like, you got to do it because the pact says so, and then hope that everybody complies instead of being like, you can't do it because you all die. Like, we'll all die if you don't listen to me.
There are some glaring plot holes there.
But actually, no. This is, I think, addressed more in the book. Then you just have mob rule. When you tell people that they can't do something or they'll die, that just doesn't work. Look at climate change, man. Come on. We've all seen Don't Look Up, man. That shit does not work like that. You have to fucking trick these people in like the most creative ways possible. So like that, to me though, the secret, if anything, the fact that the secret tunnels exist are against the themes of the story, in my opinion. It's like,
but it makes sense, right? But it's the outsiders. I think it's like, again, I agree, it is against a theme, but you could see that it's the outsiders using it, and they're very much the antithesis of the pact, right? They're like, screw the pact, the outside is real, it's green. I've seen the cleaning video. We got to get out there. So I think like that makes sense, but just address it a little bit. You just like, they're leaving all these, I guess, open and unexplored tunnels, literally and figuratively.
And I also think it makes sense that within any population size, especially one of like 10,000 people, you're going to have a few like individuals who, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you say, no matter what evidence you give them, they're going to be like, nah, I'm going to do what I want to do because I'm smart or I believe in this. And it doesn't matter if it's contrary to every piece of evidence, they're going to do what they want to do. And that feels
and they
like
get sent to the mines, Kopf. That's what happens. They get sent to the mines.
Good point. But if you're smart, you can be like a Patrick Kennedy where you just kind of like float under the surface until shit pops off.
Yeah. I'm still excited, guys. I know that we've been like ragging on the show a little bit for this season. I think generally the comments and viewers agree. The ratings agree, but just like fix the pacing. Give us some answers. Yeah. Do it in a nice way.
There you go.
Don't Game of Thrones and Lost, and not Lost. Lost was fine. Don't Game of Thrones and Westworld this show. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it just feels like they're trying to overcomplicate things for no reason.
Yeah, I always wonder what writers believe sometimes when it's not that you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do this from your story standpoint. You didn't have to do this from the source material standpoint to create this other stuff. I always wonder what goes through their head. Like, I understand, like, I want to do something different. but I want to do something different because I want to tell something like this. I want to go to Supergirl. I get the vision a little bit. Like instead of making it a little bit more James Gunny, like why don't we make it a little bit more Mad Maxy? But they didn't quite lean into Mad Max enough, and then too much of the James Gunn, so we got what we got, But like I understand having those, but just like blatantly throwing away lore that is there for a purpose to build up the whole idea, I'll never understand that. I can't go back to a time and think, damn, that was good. That was so much better than than what an author spent years of their life writing.
I think that's I think one of the best ways of talking about the biggest criticism I have with adaptations is stray away from the books. Even change like what even change what the themes were, like Starship Troopers, for example, right? Do the opposite and it could be great. The books, not at all the satire and comedy that the movie is, right? Like it's the books the movie parodies the book, which I think is great. Do that, but don't try to like stay true to the lore and then not do it by messing up and changing things that don't need to be changed and excluding things that don't need to be there. Like, make changes valuable. Here's a quick example. Do y'all remember when they like shut down the silo in season 1 and regenerated it, and like when they rebooted it, the cafeteria flashes, like screen flashes like the outside beautiful pristine green.
Yeah, it shows the helmet video.
Never brought up ever again. So I was like trying to read about that a little bit and see what happened.
Not quite, because that's what convinces the sheriff assistant lady to be part of the outside.
Sure.
She saw that video.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there's like the greater collective, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, like 10,000 people maybe saw that, right? Or 8,000. Yeah. Like, you think that wouldn't come up at all? But anyway, the bigger question I have with that is, so someone actually interviewed Hugh Howey about this and said, hey, any idea why they did that? And when the author of the books upon which your series is based goes, I have no idea. He basically told them, I thought there was going to be like a fluorescent green that sort of flashes like when a screen's calibrating itself or something. And he was like, they could have done the same thing or maybe just shown it for like a couple of seconds or a frame or two. Like when the author goes, I don't really know why they did that. That's when I think you're sort of losing focus, right? You're losing it a little bit. You have the authors as a consultant almost all the time, right? For these sort of things. Just don't lose that focus. Like, make it have a reason or show us the reason, but don't make us wait 3 seasons for it either,
Exactly. Don't make us wait until we're so frustrated that if the answer isn't perfect, we're going to be mad, because that's like we always going to go back to Game of Thrones. That was like, it's like our war in like a TV sense, it's just like, remember the war? Yeah, that's how they used to talk about World War II.
I survived the Game of Thrones.
You remember season 8 Game of Thrones? That's how we was there. That's how we.
I lost many good friends.
Yes. Kopf will never watch another DB Wise production again.
No, fuck that.
He really won't. That's he will not watch it. David Benioff and DB Wise are dead to him.
They're nemesis forever.
But
my nemesis.
Exactly. But going back to that, is like you get so frustrated that like it. Granted, the ending was bad. But it's not even that the ending was bad. It's that how they put it out so quickly, it was bad. And then we had to wait 8 seasons for that. If that was
they give us blue balls and then they ruin the release.
Yeah. I'm watching Preacher right now. That show is boring as fuck, but interesting premise. Then it gets good. Then it gets bad. But that's 4 seasons. Like
it's a wild ride.
It's so uneven, dog, but it's 4 fucking seasons. So like, even though it ends bad, I'm like,
They don't stretch it out, which this Silo, we're nowhere near. If we're on like season 6 or 7 and we still have these complaints, then we have an issue. But like season 3, it's pretty normal for a show to kind of stumble around season 3 or 4 from a pacing standpoint. That's not surprising. Mm-hmm. It's very fixable. It's very, very fixable.
It's a setup season, ultimately. That's the problem. Yeah, exactly. I think this entire season is a giant setup for an entire finale season, which I'm hoping is going to be like a Sanderlanche for Sanderson fans. Like this, just his, like Brandon Sanderson, we don't need to spend too much time on this. He's known for writing ginormous book sometimes, but the tail end of it can be like 400 pages of rapid pace, just like action.
Right.
And they could do that. There's enough there to do this for an entire season, and they could do that. I'm not saying you need to, but that might be what they end up having to do, because this season to me just feels like so much setup for a finale. I want to say one more thing real quick about Game of Thrones, which is where I think Silo could fail. I think Silo's biggest failure could be, it wasn't just that they rushed the ending. It wasn't just that it was a crappy ending. It was that they had so many unexplored or unexplained questions, right? Game of Thrones gave us like all these bodies arranged in a spiral, all these things about, the Night King, and they just had all these things about the White Walkers, and they just didn't answer anything. So Silo can't do that. That is a quick way to fail, is to not give us answers to all the different questions you've asked, or answer things in such a way that some of those questions become irrelevant and you realize, you know what, that didn't matter at all. And that is my biggest fear right now. And I think that's the only real way Silo can fail, because they have good source material. I think they'll land it. But man, just do not open up new question threads without answering them.
The real only way that Silo can fail is if Bran ends up on the Iron Throne at the end of Silo.
Mm-hmm. Who would be the most useless one? Billing's wife or something. I will leave. I am mayor now.
Kid, Anthony.
That's what it would be. It would be Sims's kid. Sims's kid would be the
becomes mayor of the Silo. and then Billings' wife is his Tyrion.
Just rearranging the chairs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I guess that's a good way to end it. Always, guys, like, subscribe, hit the hype button if you're on a mobile device. If you're on audio, reviews help, and always comment your opinions. We love to read them, even if they hurt. This has been an episode of Unbinged. I don't know where I was going with that. My name's Jagger. That's Matthew Kopf and Big Doors for me. Love you guys, and see you next time.